Hello and welcome. Today we're gonna have a little bit of fun. We're just gonna take our design and we're gonna take it one step further. Okay. I'm gonna take the picture of Connor and I'm gonna really make him pop off the background. Okay. So there's a couple of things that I'm gonna do, but first I want to show you a few more tricks with the lasso tool. So let's just take this zoom here and we'll just kind of zoom in on Connor and take our head. Now, actually, by now I've been like just clicking on the hand tool. But if you hover and you see hand tool and it says H next to it, say if I'm on another tool, if I just hit the letter H on my keyboard, it switches it right to the hand tool, okay? So that can be quite handy and speed up your process a little bit. Now, I know that I've showed you the lasso tool, okay? But certain things that can help you, let's get rid of that, select, Control D for deselect. So I'm gonna do Control D from now on. But like if you click and hold down, you also have the polygonal lasso tool. How is that helpful? Well, it only does like straight lines. And why would you want to select straight lines? Well, say like you were, Control D, say I was just going along and just cropping out Connor, but then, and I'm just cropping out Connor here. But say you want to do the hockey stick. Well, that's a big pain in the butt in order to try and crop that. What if I just do it straight lines, and then I can just go click, and then I just click, and then click, and click, and click, and then I just need to end that somehow, so I just double click. And so that was just a heck of a lot easier. The other one that makes it easier, I'm going to Control D. The other one that is nice is the magic wand tool, where it just selects a color range. So I just select there and it kind of selected a color range. That you can make it select more color by upping this number up here, and then you, deselect, and then let's go back to that. See, I did way more, right? So you just got to be careful with that one. It works really good if you have a simple color on a simple background. Deselect. And then if I were to, however, the one that is kind of nice that I do like and that I go to a little bit is that if I were to just have the object selection tool. So it's this guy here, object selection. And if I were just to click and just drag over this guy, it actually, look at that. That was just amazing. It just selected him. However, you'll notice it's not great. I usually use it as a starting block because look, it's kind of selected some stuff around it. The software has done a very good job of analyzing image and kind of just thinking about what you might like to crop. So this is what I'll just do. I'll just go back and then I'll just clean it up afterwards. So I can just add on, holding down the Shift key with the regular lasso tool, just kind of add this orange part. And then it just did this whole thing. So I just got to, if you want to take away something, you hold down the Alt key, and then you just kind of drag around the stuff that you want to take away. All right, like that. Okay, and take away. And then you just kind of go around your edges and see here, that messed up there. So you go around and just and holding down the Shift key and adding onto it. So that is really handy. Okay, so now what I've done is that, so what I would normally do is I would just copy this and paste it down, but just to save us time of cropping this, what I did is I already did it. So I've already got this layer here that's already cropped. So I'm going to get rid of that. And you can see how he's just right there. So I'm just going to call it Connor cropped. Okay, and so that is exactly on top of this background. So so just like the dogs and the other one, we've actually got two Connors there. They're just overlaying each other perfectly. So what I'm going to do is that we're going to start to have some fun. I'm going to take a blank layer. And this is where we start to get designy. I'm going to make a new layer, and I can click this button right here, this new layer button, and just click it, and I got this new blank layer. I'm going to just call it color. And we're going to fill that with a blanket of color. If I were to just take a area and fill that, and then I just go edit and fill, and it wants to fill with, say, the foreground color. Now the foreground color is these guys right over here, this color right over here. That's the foreground color and that's the background color. If I were to fill it with that, then it just filled that area. Now if I don't have anything selected, deselect, and if I did that, fill, and with that color, it just blankets everything. In fact, does it spill? Yeah, like it even spilled on over here because we didn't have anything, because it just filled the whole document, right? So let's undo that. Undo. And so I'll just draw like a nice big rectangle. And let's change the color. Let's take it, what do we want to do? We want to do blue or do we want to do orange? Let's try orange, and if we don't like it, we'll just change it. So let's actually, I'm going to click on this color, and if I click over here, like click on the 9, there's our orange, and we're going to fill it with that color. Edit and fill with that foreground color. All right, so that worked out. Not as saturated, it looks kind of dull. Let's just add a little bit of vibrance to that and then fill it again with the new brighter color. Okay. Okay, so now let's get rid of our selection. And so now all I want to do is show you is a couple things. If I change the way that color interacts with the layers underneath it. Like this looks kind of cool, but we still have the background in behind. Now if I wanted to, I could change how transparent this layer is. That's called opacity. So if I make something, if something was opaque, you can't see through it, but if it's semi-translucent, you can see through it. And that's right here, opacity. I can change my opacity to like 50, all right, or 75 or 90 or 100. And so you can kind of see the background. If I wanted to, I could also, if I wanted, I'm going to leave that back to at 100. Or I can say go from normal. This is how this layer interacts with the layers underneath it. So if I were to go normal, and I can change multiply, what that does, it takes that color layer and it multiplies that orange with whatever's underneath. For example, multiply. All right. There's different things, different selections do different things, like color dodge. They are kind of funky. Actually, overlay is a go-to for me. I like that one. Where is it? Subtract is like a negative. Well, it didn't look so bad. Actually, it was difference. Difference is the one. Yeah, that's kind of like a negative looking one. But in this case right now, we're going to go to, I think, multiply. Now, so it's starting to look a little bit like a hockey card. Hardly. Maybe that one. Yeah, make it look a little different. And then, so he's starting to look like he's on the cover of a cereal box or something right now. If I were to, now I want to manipulate the background. And we're going to show you something else. I'm going to get rid of this for now. And we're going to go to this background layer for Connor. In fact, you know what? I'm really worried that I'm going to wreck my background because I'm going to mess around with it. So if I'm going to right-click on there, I'm going to duplicate that layer. So now I have a copy of it. So if I were to mess this layer up, I've got this as a backup. All right. So let's go. And I'm going to show you, isolate this. I'm going to show you some of the filters. So if I go to filter, you got all this stuff here. Like you've got like all these styles. You can add noise. You can add all these different, you can blur things. Like for example, Gaussian blur is you just take your background and you're just blurring it. Now, even that, I'm really making Connor kind of pop off the background, aren't I? Even do it more and you're really making him pop off the background. Okay, we're going to do something similar. Let's get rid of that. Filter, motion blur is would be a good one to use, but we're not going to. But it's going to be like if we had it, it's going like sideways. So this would be a good one for like say like you're doing an ad for like a car, and I'm going to change the angle of it. Like say if you want to show the motion of a car, make it look like a still car is actually driving, you would blur the background. I guarantee you that's what they do in ads. We're going to try motion blur. No, sorry, radial blur. And I'm going to change it to zoom because I just know this is what I want. It's kind of like your classic hockey card kind of look here. I'm going to take that and it's going to look like a zoom here. So actually if I hide Connor, and I'll show you, if I hide the cropped version of it and now go in, then I would go, where are we? Blur, radial blur, change it to zoom, and we're just going to have that kind of really zoom like that, okay? And so that, you know, that's your kind of like your classic hockey card type of effect. And so now that if I put Connor cropped on top of that, then he's just really popping off the page, okay? And if I don't like it as much, remember I have my backup here? Like there it is there, and there's my backup. I can even make that like semi-transparent. So we're fading, so there it is there, and we're just slowly fading in our zoom. All right, you can do whatever. And then you can add your color on top of that. Ooh, that color's pretty vibrant. Maybe let's just change that to multiply. And what happens if I back that off a little bit? Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm sold on the orange, but that's the creative process. You know, you take something and you think you know what works, and then you just kind of look for, you know, you make decisions. Like you say, oh, it's the creative process. You try something, does it work or not? Like, and then you come around again, you try again until, oh yeah, that's starting to work. Okay, so we're going to leave that at that for now. Okay, so that works. That kind of worked out well. And so I'm anxious to see, oh, I'm going to show you one more thing. The Connor cropped. You know how I added the drop shadows to the type? You can also do that to images. Like say if you want Connor to pop off a little bit more here, we can add an effect. Let's go to, like you can do like the drop shadow and have like him kind of, you know, you can see the drop shadow there. But actually I think the outer glow is good. I want to do the outer glow, and we're going to do, by default it'll be like a white color. By default it'll look kind of like that. Oh. By default it could look kind of like that. So let's kind of bring that down and just make that kind of glow like that. And look, oh, the opacity. We know what the opacity is. So you can make him jump off the page, kind of like that. Okay, so I hope that you guys are doing well. I hope that you don't mind this assignment, and I hope that you're having a good day.